Peace of Mind podcast merges business and psychology.
These topics are designed to inspire solutions for entrepreneurs to provide insights that improve their overall mental health and business success.
We are here today with the Peace of Mind podcast with Miss Wendy Whitmore, who is the owner of Truth, Healing, and Evolution Counseling Services, as well as she does so much in the community with her I Love Me experiences and just helping women to understand that this life that we live, that we actually can be warriors. A lot of times as women, we don't realize the strength that we have, the courage that we have, as well as the nurturing that we have, all within inside of us. And so I'm so excited to have you here with us. And her business is here in Upland, California, but she travels. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist as well as a life coach. So thank you so much, Wendy. I cannot wait for us to get into all that we have to talk about on today. All right. So I'm so glad to have you here in the studio with us, Miss Wendy. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. My voice sounds a little weird. I was in Idaho over the weekend, and it was cold and snowing. And
just trying to travel from one place to the other. Sometimes
the
weather catches up to us.
Wasn't nice to the voice, so now I sound more raspier than normal. But it's all good.
Yes, it is. It is. So we do have some water for you around here just in case. But invite us into your business and share with us why you created your business and what it's all about.
So one of the reasons that I went into business for myself is because I was diagnosed with a chronic illness when I was 29 years old. And I had to have surgery. As soon as I got diagnosed, I had to have surgery on my bladder. And so my job basically was like, how long are you going to be gone? And I had never had surgery ever in my life. And so, ignorantly, I said 2 weeks. It turned into 3 months of recovery. And so they were very unhappy with that.
After you probably had served them very well, because I know your work ethic and the way that you promote excellence. Right.
And so I moved on from that company and went to another company. And when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness, it takes a while to kind of reimagine what your life is going to look like, because you have to think about what you can't do, right? And as opposed to just getting up and going and doing. And so it took me a while, which means that I had to have several surgeries on my bladder until I became accustomed to my new lifestyle. So at the new company, I had to have 2 more surgeries. Or maybe I think it was 3, actually. I had 3. And every time I would have to go out, I would let them know. But the very last time that I went out, when I came back, they gave me no caseload.
Wow. So were you in the mental health field as well?
Yes. So I was working for a community agency and no caseload. So I didn't make any money for almost a year. Now, I didn't know that was illegal. Technically, they were supposed to put me on unemployment. I didn't know that. But in the midst of all of this, I started thinking about what am I going to do? Because this is a lifelong illness and I can't live like this. And so I went to sleep one night and I was like, okay, God, you got to give me a sign. And when I woke up, the initials THE, and I was like, what is the?
What?
I was like, this don't make no sense. And so then the scripture, Jeremiah 29:11 came to me.
One of my favorites.
And so then when I woke up, I'm writing everything down and I just write THE. The next night I go back to sleep and I hear my spirit speak to me and says, Truth, Healing, Evolution. So when I wake up the next day, I was like, oh, that's going to be the name of my private practice. And so I started my private practice April 30th of 2013.
Wow. So you operate, so invite us in a little bit more. So you operate a traditional counseling business, and then you also do things in the community. So share with us what Truth Healing is, as well as what you do for the community for women.
So I'm a firm believer in the power of therapy, but also know that people are not going to just come sit on my couch or lay on the chair or however they want to do it, right? So I had to start thinking about how to bring wellness to the community. So I started doing wellness projects. I host retreats. I facilitate workshops. oh my goodness, it's so crazy when you start thinking about all the things that you've done throughout the years. Like you can't even rattle them off as quickly as you used to. But there's just so many different like wellness things that I love to do. And I really like to focus on people of color because unfortunately, we're the people who don't utilize therapeutic services enough. So I try to do as much as I can in the community to bring therapy to the people.
Yes, definitely. So health challenges was one of the reasons why you opened up your business. Walk us through you keeping the doors open. So once Jeremiah 29:11 came to you and you were able to create your business concept based out of a need and adversity that you were going through, how did you keep your doors open? What was your strategy to be able to get your business where the doors were open and moving it to a thriving business that it is today?
Outside of prayer.
Yes. So prayer one.
Outside of that, honestly, community. I had one of my really good friends from college. He was like, yo, Wendy, you too dope for people not to know who you are. You need to be connected. And he started inviting me to different things. And I met people like you.
Yes.
And I met a lot of really great people. And so outside of prayer, outside of an amazing business plan, if you're not connected, and you have to make sure that you're connected genuinely, right? Because a lot of people want to get connected just so they can get on. But you got to make sure that you're willing to serve as much as you are expecting to receive back. So I honestly feel like with the power of prayer and my work ethic, I mean, not to like pat myself on my own back, but it is like, if I got to stay up till 4 a.m., I'm staying up till 4 a.m. so I can kill it.
Yes.
Like, sometimes you just sacrifice and you get that tunnel vision and making sure that you have a village. Like, I don't know where I would be without my village.
So you mentioned something about work ethic. Describe for us how it was different in terms of you moving from an employee status to the work ethic of an entrepreneur.
So, when you go to work and then you leave it there. Like I hope so, because they're not paying you to do it at home. But when you are an entrepreneur, like there is no off button. You have projects, you have deadlines, you have your day-to-day operations. And so you really have to think about, if this is 2020, I'm already thinking about 2022 and 2023 and 2024, right? I'm usually thinking 2 to 5 years ahead of what I need to do. And I'm making sure I lay out my 18-month, help me with the math, 36-month, and on and on and on.
Yes.
So that I can make sure that I'm hitting my targets, hitting my deadlines, making sure that each quarter I have those goals. It's just a whole different mindset. And if you're not ready to think outside the box, and if you're not ready to sleep 4 hours, then, entrepreneur life is going to be tough, because that is really what the work ethic is knowing that you have a deadline and you got to meet it.
Right. So how do you balance your health challenges along with having a thriving business in the way that you do?
So I don't see clients on Fridays. That's one thing. I'm a firm believer that I can't take anybody else's stuff into my weekend. I travel. Oh my goodness, traveling has been like my saving grace. Even if I don't travel big trips, I try to travel at least every 6 weeks, like a little mini trip. What else do I do? I laugh a lot. I believe in like having a good time. Like, you cannot take life too serious, because if you do, life is always happening, and then you're an entrepreneur and it's hard. So those are the things that I do. Travel. I'm very selfish with my time, and I love to have fun.
I love that you said that you're selfish. So thinking about some of the things, because that could be conceived as, someone who is just self-absorbed, but oftentimes it is in our darkest moments that we begin to understand that being selfish is actually a way for us to be able to help others. Right. How would you, be able to help someone in terms of how did you get through some of your darkest moments in terms of being an entrepreneur, and you're more considered a solopreneur. So a lot is resting on your shoulders. How did you get through some of those dark moments?
So, trial and error, unfortunately. And it took 4 surgeries on my bladder to figure out that I really had to learn to be intentional with my time, right? And it wasn't until, I'm crawling to the bathroom and I'm unable to literally like care for myself where I started to say, how am I going to continue to pour out? And like, I'm not pouring back in. Like, there's just no way this is going to continue to work for me. And I remember maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I had started to really think about like how this idea, right now self-care and self-love is a big buzzword. But 4 or 5 years ago when I started like really pushing the idea, it was not. And so I remember my grandmother told me I was being selfish. You can't be teaching people about being selfish. And I'm like, no, you're missing it. We got to look at selfish in a different context. And if we look at it in the context of making sure that we're intentional with our time so that we can pour from our from the overfill of our tank, then we can look at being selfish in a way of being self-preservation.
Yes, I love that. So self-preservation is really more of what you are speaking of, and being able to actually fill yourself up so that way you can be better to overflow and give. Instead of giving from an empty tank, you're actually giving from a full tank.
Right.
So that, I mean, like you said, years ago for us as women, that didn't take place.
Right.
Not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to jump in here. You guys have been flowing. I love it. It's good. For me as an entrepreneur, I think about the times that most people think they want to do something with their lives and they think they have an idea about being successful, but going through the surgeries and all the trials and the tribulations, like what made you keep going in spite of the fact that most people would have quit?
Wow. So you're going to get me. You're going to get me with that one. You're going to make me get super emotional. Honestly, the people that have gone before me and have laid the path for me, they weren't quitters. My grandmother's mother was born on the tail end of slavery.
Wow.
My grandmother was born in 1921. My grandfather was born in 1914. And so they just never quit. Right. And so that non-quit attitude that, you keep going because there's always going to be something better and brighter on the other side of it. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be instilled with that, and at 40, I realize it now that I didn't know what I had back then. So I'm grateful.
Yes.
I'm grateful.
Yes.
That's so powerful because one of the things that I learned is that oftentimes we quit when we're doing something for ourselves, but we keep going when it's for somebody else. I think about parents and how they struggle to get up every 2 hours, but even though it's a struggle, they still do it because it's for their kids.
Right.
And so what I'm hearing you talk about is the fact that you are the descendants of your ancestors who had the strength where, given how difficult their circumstances were compared to ours, most of us would have just said, you know what?
Man,
that.
Right. The stuff my grandmother tells me about, when she would tell me about her mother, I was like, oh no. I was like, oh. Thank God I was born in 1979.
But the fact that they were able to pass down that oral history for you, and now you can carry it into your legacy with your children, but also your legacy in the work that you're doing in the community.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Standing
I'm blessed, y'all. Like, do you ever wake up one day and realize how blessed you are? And you just become so like overwhelmed. You're just like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, I think it's really about how taking time to be aware of your blessings and really take time to think about it.
Yes.
Sometimes we just go through our days and sometimes the blessings flow and we take it for granted.
Right.
But really taking time to say, you know what? Just think if I were living in the 1920s like my grandmother.
Right.
Imagine in the same mind you have, the same get up and go, the same drive, you wouldn't have had the same opportunity. So not to take it for granted is so important.
Right.
I got a question for you. So, oftentimes as entrepreneurs, I totally identify with what you're saying. And we have these fight or flight moments, right? Where we're like, you know what? I'm done versus I'm going to keep moving forward. Talk about some of those that you've had along the way and how were you able to process it and work through it?
It's funny because my my marketing coordinator and my ace boom coon, Patrice, I tried to quit every year up until 2 years ago. I was like, I'm done. I was like, I cannot do this. I was like, I am carrying this. I hate solo dolo. Like that was not the goal, right? And so I tried to quit. And it wasn't until, and it's unfortunate, but it wasn't until my grandfather passed away. And he passed away in September of 2018. And every year I host a retreat at the end of September. And I couldn't quit. Like, I had people flying in from other states. I couldn't quit. And I wanted to. Like, it took everything in me and that was the first year that I did a full weekend retreat. I normally would do it Saturday to Sunday. And this time I had made the decision to do a Friday to Sunday retreat. And I had 30 women coming, and it was just, and I couldn't quit. And I wanted to. I mean, you guys, when I tell you, I took a week off. I didn't see clients when he passed away. And I literally was just praying and fasting and crying and just asking, like, okay, because this is it. This is a defining moment. If I'm going to quit, right, this would be the opportunity. And my spirit spoke to me, and it was just like, oh, this too shall pass, my child. That's literally what I heard my spirit. And I was like, okay. And I called my team. Because they said, we'll do whatever you want to do. I called my team and I said, let's go. And so from that point on, I just keep going. This too shall pass. This too shall pass.
I think about just the everyday pressures of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You got the long hours and just the expectation of having deadlines and all of those things. And over time, that pressure just mounts up.
Yes.
Right? And it starts to get to a place where you're like, you know what, man, like one of two things are going to happen. I'm going to explode,
right?
Or this pressure valve is going to have a release.
Right.
So just walk some of the entrepreneurs out there of some different ways to just release that pressure, because otherwise, we've got a lot of people that end up quitting or they end up getting so frustrated where there's some, mental health challenges, and then it turns into physical health challenges.
Or they become suicidal.
Yeah, all of those, anxiety, depression,
right?
All of those things. Just give some how-tos to be able to cope with that.
So it's so funny. Last night, my last session of the night was an entrepreneur, and she was telling me how she meditates and not working, and I said, yeah, because that's maintenance. And she was like, well, what do you mean? I said, baby, you got to release. I said, you need to figure out something you can do to release the stress, to release the anxiety, to release the angst, because meditation is maintenance, right? That's the next part of it. But if you don't release it, if you don't physically exert it,
so just
if you don't,
I'm clear. Okay, so when you're saying meditation, that means that I've already done what I was supposed to do, and I'm at the right state, and I'm maintaining a good state.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
So I gave her the example. She was like, I said, at the end of the night, when I am done, I don't talk to anybody, because I've talked for 8, 9, 10 hours in a day. Or I'll, even if it's cold, I'll roll down all my windows, turn on the heater. I'll listen to some music. If it's a really rough day, I cry it out. If it's a rough day, I cry it out and I scream. Because you have to release.
You're releasing it.
You got to figure out what your release is, whether you're boxing, whether you're running, whether you're literally screaming, whether you're crying. You have to release the angst. Because if you hold on to it, that's what's going to be the problem. Another thing is people don't want to feel and deal.
Yes.
You look. If you are struggling, if you are stressed, I am literally living in grief. I've lost 5 family members in 15 months. I am living through this grief, right? And that means that sometimes I'm crying.
Yes.
And I just let it go. I don't hold it back. Of course, I pull it together when I need to.
Right.
But when I don't need to, I let it go.
Right.
And most people are going to think this is crazy. But trust Wendy on this, y'all. Allow yourself to think the irrational thoughts. and to say them out loud because you got them anyways.
Yes, they're
Stop
there.
pretending like they not there.
Yes.
You see, that's that cover up. That's that cover up. We not covering up.
Yeah.
Kate Spade covered up, and look what happened to her.
Yeah.
We don't want to cover up.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to allow that. That's the release. You have to, and it's uncomfortable. The release is uncomfortable. The release tells you want to quit. The release tells you that you're not good enough. The release tells you that depression and anxiety are going to take over. Right? But if you allow yourself to release it and then you sit with it and then you ask yourself, okay, am I really thinking this or is this just how I feel because of what I'm going through?
Right. Yeah. And the
So
key
those are
that
my
you
tips.
Yes. But you said feel and deal with it. So sometimes what happens is we just feel it, but then we don't deal with it.
Right.
And so there's two processes that you have to go through.
Right.
And would you say that without having some level of community to be able to help you process through that it makes it a little bit more difficult? Because I can only imagine a solopreneur not really understanding how to, once they allow themselves to feel it, then what do they do next? So you gave some really good tips on cry it out, listen to some music. I know for me, I believe in dancing it out. Some people believe in lifting weights. Some people believe in journaling. But the point is that you got to get it out. You got to release it in a way to be able to process it. So that way your body isn't holding on to those onto those negative feelings, because negative feelings will sometimes end up getting high blood pressure, ulcers, all kinds of different things that would interrupt what an amazing business concept that the person has that can really contribute to the world and really make a big difference and make an impact.
Right. Because the body and the soul remembers. And if you don't release it, it's going to hold it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, before we end on today, I really would like for you to share with all of the listeners a little bit more about your business and how they can actually find you.
Okay. So my private practice is Truth Healing Evolution Counseling Services. If you Google it, literally that's what'll show up. My website is Truth Healing Evolution Counseling. But for my wellness events and all of the wellness things that I do in community, you would go to liveiloveme.com. If you want to find me on social media, it's Wendy L. Whitmore. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And what I really want people to know, honestly, is that if you're going to walk this entrepreneur life, you have to invest in wellness.
Yes.
Like, I reach out to so many women, and I think a lot of times, I remember in the beginning when I was reaching out and people were like, oh, you're just trying to get us there. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I have a bread and butter. My private practice, I have a bread and butter. The wellness stuff that I do, it's my heart.
Yes.
It's my heart that I'm giving the community. And it's because I also know that you're not going to make it if you don't have it. And so if you're an entrepreneur, you have to invest in wellness, right? You can't host things and think that hosting and having a business is just going to be enough. You have to invest in the wellness. And so you have to make sure that you're investing in it for yourself, for your team. If you have a team, because believe me, you don't want them losing their minds.
Right.
You want to encourage it. And you just want to make sure that, you're living a whole life, that you're enjoying yourself, that you're having fun. And so that's really what I am about. I'm about making sure that I'm promoting wellness, making sure I'm promoting mental health, wellness, and fun.
Yes.
I think we forget about that part in life.
Especially as entrepreneurs. I believe that we have goals. We have strategic plans. We have a business plan, and we want to make sure that we are achieving all of those goals.
Right.
So being able to take some time to be able to understand that having fun is part of the wellness puzzle.
Exactly.
Meditation is part of that. And I loved, like, what I learned is that meditation is actually maintenance. And I think sometimes we don't realize that maintenance is so important in our overall wellness care plan. And how many of us really have that?
Right.
Especially as entrepreneurs. I really believe that that's something that we have to begin to focus more on.
Right.
So thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right. So listeners, we look forward to you connecting with Miss Wendy Whitmore.